Have you ever looked at a tiny corner of your home and thought, there's no way I can make this beautiful? What if I told you that with a little imagination and almost no budget, that forgotten corner could become your favorite place in the world? Welcome to Arkan Aesthetic Studio, where we turn the smallest spaces into soulful sanctuaries. In this video, we'll explore cheap DIY ideas for tiny gardens, simple, beautiful, and attainable for anyone. Whether you're on a balcony, in a narrow alleyway, or just working with a few pots on a windowsill, there's something here for you. Maybe to you, I'm just another face on a screen. But behind this content, there's a real story and a real family. This isn't just a video. It's a piece of my heart. Every like, every comment, every subscribe, it truly matters. When you hit that subscribe button, you're not just helping a creator grow. You're helping a dream stay alive. You're giving a small family hope, one click at a time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for seeing me. Now, let's begin. And may this video remind you that beauty can always grow, even in the smallest places. One, Upcycled Tin Can Planters. There's something magical about giving second chances, not just to people, but to things forgotten. A simple tin can, once discarded, once overlooked, finds new purpose under the sun. In a quiet corner of a small garden, colors dance on the surface of old soup cans, now transformed into joyful planters. Lavender reaches toward the sky, mint spills playfully over the edge, and basil, soft and fragrant, catches the light just right. The fence behind them is warm and wooden, a simple backdrop for this cheerful gallery of greenery. No fancy tools, no need for expensive materials, just imagination, a brush, and a willingness to try. You don't need a big yard to create something beautiful. Just a wall, a window ledge, maybe a forgotten chair that's been waiting for a second life. That's the quiet beauty of tiny gardens. They don't ask for much, but they give so much back. If you've ever doubted whether you could start your own little garden sanctuary, let this be your gentle nudge. These ideas aren't rules or rigid instructions. They're simply inspirations, shared to show what's possible with heart and humble materials. So gather your colors, save your cans, let your hands get a little dirty, and remember, even the tiniest patch of green can feel like a whole world when it's made with love. Two, Mosaic stepping stones. Not all garden paths are made to get us somewhere. Some exist to slow us down, to invite us into the present moment with every step. Here, among blooming flowers and rustling leaves, broken pieces find their place again. Shards of old plates, cracked tiles, forgotten ceramics, they become petals, spirals, hearts. A mosaic underfoot that feels as personal as a memory, as comforting as a story told on a porch in the afternoon sun. These garden stones weren't bought in a store. They were built from love, time, and tiny moments of creativity. The joy isn't only in seeing them, it's in making them. A soft rhythm of hands placing color, piece by piece, into something beautiful, something lasting. If you're wondering whether this is something you could try yourself, you're not alone. And the answer is, absolutely. This isn't perfection, it's play. It doesn't take expensive tools or expert hands, just patience, and the desire to make something that brings you joy each time you walk by. What I'm sharing here isn't a tutorial, it's a spark. A gentle suggestion that beauty can be built from things you already have. The designs are yours to invent. Your hands will know where each piece fits. Because in a tiny garden, every detail matters. And sometimes, the best paths are the ones we create ourselves. Three, Teacup bird feeder. In a world that often rushes forward, there's quiet joy in creating something that invites you to pause. A teacup, once part of morning rituals, quiet chats, or grandmother's shelf, now lives a second life in the garden. Perched atop a slender pole, it holds not tea, but birdseed. And in return, it welcomes life with wings. This little DIY isn't just charming. It's a gentle invitation to slow down, to notice, to make space for birdsong among the blooms. With a bit of strong adhesive and a few seconds of care, these dainty feeders can become your garden's most poetic detail. The best part? It doesn't take much. Old teacups, a bit of imagination, and a willingness to repurpose with love. These ideas are not rules. They're simply possibilities. Shared not as instructions, but as sparks, ideas that are real, doable, and made for those who enjoy crafting beauty with their own hands. And when you see a tiny bird perched delicately on the rim, pecking happily from floral porcelain, it becomes more than decor. It becomes a connection between you and nature, between past and present, between the quietness of the morning and the flutter of wings. Let your garden speak in details. Let it tell a story of renewal, of second chances, of whimsy. You don't need a big budget, just a heart open to the charm of the simple and the small. Four, vertical crate shelves. Not all gardens grow from soil. Some bloom from creativity, from walls, from corners too small for anything but a bit of light and a dream. Wooden crates, once used to carry fruit or bottles, now reborn as soft-structured shelves, painted or bare, stacked or hung. There's something beautifully honest about their presence in a tiny garden. They don't pretend to be perfect. They just serve, quietly, charmingly. These crates cradle the small treasures of a garden life. Mugs that hold more than just tea, pots of basil and thyme, watering cans that shine like silver in the afternoon sun. The crates become homes for things that matter, for things you reach for on a slow Sunday morning when the plants are calling you. This idea isn't new, and it's not exclusive. It's something almost anyone can do. This video is simply a reminder, a soft one, that with a few basic tools and a touch of imagination, your garden wall can become a living gallery. A place where color and character rise vertically, even when space is limited. Each arrangement can be personal. One might be rustic and worn. Another might burst with pastel tones and ceramic charm. There are no fixed instructions here, only inspirations that come from what's already in your hands. And perhaps, that's the most comforting part. The best ideas don't come from grand designs, but from ordinary things given a new story. This is simply mine, offered in hopes it might spark yours. Five, picture frame plant displays. Sometimes, a garden doesn't need more space. It just needs more imagination. What once framed family portraits or dusty landscapes in a hallway now holds something just as meaningful. A living detail, a tiny green flourish, a plant suspended like a painting against wood or brick. These picture frame plant displays are more than just decoration. They're stories suspended mid-air. You don't need to be a carpenter or an artist to do this. Just a frame, old or new, simple or ornate. A small pot, a little bit of creativity, and perhaps the courage to see your garden wall not as a boundary, but as a canvas. This idea is here simply as inspiration. It's not a strict tutorial, but a way of sharing how the ordinary can feel extraordinary with just a shift in perspective. Some of these displays hold air plants with wild, curly leaves. Others cradle vines that trail down like brushstrokes. You can choose whatever feels right for your own space and spirit. Light falls through the greenery. Shadows stretch softly against painted fences or textured brick. And suddenly, your garden begins to feel like a gallery. A place not just for plants to grow, but for your creativity to bloom right alongside them. And so, this isn't just about decorating. It's about framing the little things that bring you peace. About turning a bare wall into something that holds life, beauty, and a bit of you. Six, Cutlery wind chimes. There's something about the sound of a wind chime that feels like memory. Like the garden is whispering back to you. Here, old forks and spoons, each one carrying a story from the kitchen, now hang freely in the sun. No longer tools for meals, they've become instruments of light and air, dancing gently when the breeze comes to play. It doesn't take much. A bit of fishing line, a piece of wood, or even an old kitchen rack, and the will to give forgotten things a new voice. These aren't perfect instruments, but that's the charm. Their clinking isn't polished, it's honest. It's soft music made by repurposing what we already have. This isn't a how-to guide. It's simply an offering. A spark of inspiration that anyone could try, especially if you have a quiet garden corner and a few utensils too old to serve but too beautiful to toss. Set among herbs and terracotta pots, these wind chimes bring character to the space. Their shadows fall softly on the ground as they sway, catching sunlight in ways you never planned, but will always love. It's proof that art doesn't have to be complex, that beauty can come from the simplest things, and that a tiny garden doesn't just grow greens, it grows moments, sound, and feeling. Seven, painted rock cacti. Not every garden needs water, and not every cactus needs to grow. Some are simply painted with love, shaped by hand, and placed under the sun as a little nod to creativity. A wink to nature, a celebration of what we can make from what's already around us. These tiny cactus stones don't ask for attention, but they catch your eye. They surprise. They sit quietly in their terracotta homes, smooth pebbles dressed in green, dotted like real succulents, and surrounded by soft flowers or pale sand. They bring charm to corners where plants may not thrive, and joy to those who feel unsure about a green thumb. I'm not here to tell you this is the only way, only to show that it's possible. These DIYs are shared as ideas, sparks that might bloom into something of your own. If you have a few stones, a bit of paint, and a desire to create something cheerful, then you already have all you need. In the morning light, they seem to smile. In the evening glow, they still hold color. They don't grow taller, but they grow on you. Because what you're really growing here isn't a plant, it's play. It's art. It's a moment of stillness disguised as something alive. And in a small garden, that matters just as much. 8. Old ladder plant stand. Sometimes, all it takes to transform a garden corner is a single forgotten object and a little imagination. That old ladder leaning in the shed, the one you thought had seen its last day, can quietly bloom into a vertical garden sanctuary. One that lifts your favorite pots toward the sun, tier by tier, like a staircase for flowers to climb. This isn't about rushing to the store or spending a lot. It's about rethinking what you already have. Dust it off. Let the wood keep its character, or add a coat of pastel paint if you feel playful. Place your pots with care, herbs on top for the scent, flowers below for color, maybe a watering can tucked beside for charm. This idea I share isn't a rulebook, but a little nudge towards something possible. A vision. You can always adapt it with your own hands, your own space. That's the joy of DIY. It belongs to you. And when the sun hits just right, your ladder will do more than hold pots. It will hold presence. It becomes a quiet sculpture of life, simple, useful, unexpectedly beautiful. Not everything needs to be perfect, but some things, when made with thought and love, feel just right. Even an old ladder knows that. Nine, terracotta candle holders. When twilight gently brushes the edge of your garden and the day begins to soften, there's something magical about the quiet flicker of candlelight woven between leaves and petals. In today's idea, we embrace that magic, using the humble charm of terracotta pots to bring a soft, glowing rhythm to your tiny garden corners. With just a few miniature clay pots, turned upside down or stacked like tiny towers, you can create candle holders that feel grounded, rustic, and delightfully personal. Some choose to leave the pots bare, letting time and weather soften their tone naturally. Others may prefer to add a lick of pastel paint, or hand paint floral motifs to reflect the blooms around them. Whatever your style, these candle holders lend a delicate warmth to steps, tables, or pathways. There's something wonderfully comforting about the way terracotta breathes under a small flame. The clay holds the warmth, the flame dances quietly, and suddenly, even the smallest garden becomes a sanctuary. This isn't about perfection. It's about presence. About sitting outside with a warm drink and listening to the world slow down. As always, this video simply offers inspiration. Gentle ideas that are meant to be flexible, approachable, and enjoyable to create. Not everything needs to be complicated or expensive to feel special. The beauty of this DIY lies not just in how simple it is, but in how deeply it connects you to your own space. Candle by candle, pot by pot, you're not just lighting a garden, you're lighting little rituals of peace. And maybe that's all a garden really needs at the end of the day. Garden poles, PVC or Dowel art. In the gentle hum of a blooming garden, even the simplest object can sing with color. Here, ordinary poles, once plain, once dull, are reborn with joy and painted spirit. These are garden guardians, not grand or loud, but cheerful posts whispering creativity. Some are wrapped in stories, collaged from scraps of old maps, florals, and vintage magazine clippings. Tales etched in decoupage, sealed by sunlight and love. Others stand tall in coats of candy pink, sky blue, sunflower yellow, painted by hand, brushed with laughter. There are swirling vines, playful dots, tribal marks, and spontaneous petals, as if the poles have borrowed beauty from the very flowers they watch over. Among herb pots and planter beds, these poles peek between the basil and marigolds. They ask for nothing but presence. Just by standing, They make the garden feel less like a patch of earth and more like a personal poem. Let me say this gently. This isn't a professional guide or a must-do instruction. What I'm sharing is merely a breeze of inspiration, one that feels possible for anyone with a brush, a bit of time, and a pocketful of curiosity. It's not about perfection. It's about the delight of creating something your garden will smile back at. You don't need new supplies. Look around: PVC pipes from leftover plumbing, unused curtain rods, wooden dowels hiding in storage. The magic begins the moment you decide to make something beautiful just because you can. And when the sun catches the painted swirls just right, or a child walks past and asks, "Did you paint that yourself?" you'll know this tiny gesture mattered. This is one way, of many, to turn a humble space into a vibrant retreat. And maybe, just maybe, your garden has been waiting for a little splash of whimsy like this all along. Mirror illusion walls. Sometimes, it only takes a reflection to change how we see the world. In small gardens, space is precious. But with a well-placed mirror, you don't just reflect your greenery, you multiply it. In this little balcony tucked away above the rooftops, mirrors of every shape and curve have found a home on a wall of trailing vines. Round and square, bold and whimsical, they dance with sunlight and sky, making this narrow space feel like a secret garden that goes on forever. Further down the path, an ornate vintage mirror leans gracefully against a weathered brick wall. Its frame tells stories of another era, while its glass pulls the surrounding flowers and hanging plants into a dreamy illusion of depth. Suddenly, the garden feels like a gateway to somewhere far beyond what meets the eye. On another fence, a gilded mirror reflects a tiny, lush corner, magnifying the joy of blooms and greens. The mirror doesn't just decorate, it invites imagination, adding richness to even the smallest of spaces. But let's pause a moment. While mirrors bring light and charm, they also carry a quiet risk, especially in outdoor spaces where birds are frequent visitors. Reflections can confuse them, sometimes with tragic outcomes. If you consider this idea for your own garden, do so with care and mindfulness. Placement matters. Diffused reflections, partial visibility, or placing mirrors low to the ground are some ways to minimize potential harm. As with all creative pursuits, balance is key. This, like all ideas I share here, is simply an invitation, one that I hope feels inspiring and accessible. Not a prescription, but a poetic spark. A thought that maybe, just maybe, you can reimagine your garden not with a blueprint, but with a mirror and a bit of wonder. 12. Bottle cap wallflowers. In a forgotten corner of the garden, where the afternoon sun plays with dappled shadows, something unexpected blooms, not from soil or seed, but from memory and imagination. Bottle caps, once tossed aside without thought, now shimmer like petals on a vibrant wall of repurposed joy. Each tiny disc, painted and arranged with care, tells a story of transformation, a small, cheerful rebellion against waste. They bloom in shapes of daisies and sunflowers, pressed into patterns across wooden fences or perched delicately on garden stakes among real blossoms. A playful harmony between man-made and natural, between whimsy and sustainability. These flowers don't wilt. They don't thirst. And yet, they bring life. The beauty of this DIY idea lies in its simplicity. It's something you can do with your own hands, your own pace, and your own collection of colorful caps. Whether they are from family picnics, weekend sodas, or even those random discoveries at the back of kitchen drawers. Each cap becomes part of something joyful and new. Of course, this is simply an idea, a spark of inspiration shared with the hope that it might gently land in your own world and take root. What you do with it is entirely up to you. And that's the essence of small garden DIY. Not to follow a perfect plan, but to embrace possibility with heart and a hint of creativity. Let your fence become a canvas. Let discarded lids find purpose. And above all, let your tiny garden be filled not only with plants, but with personality. Because sometimes, the most delightful blossoms are made from things we never thought would bloom. Chalkboard plant signs. In the hush of morning light, where dew clings gently to the tips of tender basil and mint, there lies a simple magic, handwritten words on tiny wooden signs. A whisper of personality nestled between green leaves. These are not just labels. They are tiny storytellers of your garden's soul. The idea is as modest as it is lovely. A sliver of scrap wood, brushed with chalkboard paint, becomes a reusable marker, a canvas for creativity. Write the name of your herbs or vegetables with a hint of flair, perhaps a tiny sketch of a flower beside the word rosemary, or a sun smiling next to mint. The joy is in the details. Not only do these signs help you remember what you planted and where, but they also create a charming rhythm throughout your garden, each sign like a stanza in the poem of your growing space. This idea is meant to be inspiration, a little nudge for those who enjoy crafting with intention and simplicity. It's entirely up to you to adjust it for your own garden style. These are not rigid instructions, but suggestions rooted in creativity. You don't need a sprawling backyard. A few pots on a sunny ledge will do. The chalk fades with time, like memories of last season, ready to be rewritten with every new beginning. And when paired with other DIY touches, like recycled bottle cap flowers or painted garden poles, these little chalkboard signs quietly remind us that beauty in the garden doesn't have to be expensive. It just needs a little love and imagination. So if your heart feels called to try, know that this is simply one idea among many. A creative whisper to help your garden sing in your own voice. Hanging light bulb terrariums. Sometimes, the smallest light holds the gentlest life. What once flickered above your head, casting glow into the room, now becomes a vessel for green life, fragile yet resilient. In this tiny garden idea, we give old glass bulbs a second purpose. Hung gently from branches, balcony railings, or lattice panels, these bulbs, now delicate terrariums, cradle soil, moss, and miniature plants, dancing lightly with the breeze. Imagine sipping your morning tea while these little worlds float quietly beside you, catching sunlight like bottled whispers of nature. Each bulb tells its own story. Some hold air plants with spiky drama, others cradle succulents in peaceful stillness. Even the simplest green sprout, barely an inch tall, looks like poetry under glass. The magic isn't in the rarity of the plants, it's in the presentation, the intimacy, the thought behind it. And when it rains lightly, or when golden hour arrives, they sparkle like garden jewelry. I'm not saying this is the only way to create beauty in a small space. What I share here is simply a soft suggestion, a creative whisper you're free to follow or change in your own way. These ideas are meant to be accessible, replicable, and a reminder that inspiration doesn't always cost much. A note from nature's caution. These tiny glass homes are breakable. Place them safely and out of reach of playful pets, curious children, or heavy wind. A garden should feel peaceful, not precarious. But above all, let this idea be a nudge toward repurposing with care and creativity. Take what's old, what's forgotten, and let it bloom. Because sometimes, in the tiniest spaces, we grow the most wonder. (15) Old drawer garden box. In a quiet corner of a sun-kissed garden, where gravel crunches gently underfoot and the breeze carries the scent of herbs and blooms, a story unfolds, not of grand renovations or expensive materials, but of quiet ingenuity and charming reuse. Here lies a humble drawer, once forgotten in the dim corners of a dusty room. Its purpose reborn, now a vessel of life. With a fresh coat of pastel paint or simply left in its raw, weathered beauty, it cradles soft soil and thriving greens, mint and basil, petunias and daisies, peeking out as if smiling at the sky. Some drawers stand stacked, like a cascading fountain of color, while others stretch alone, sturdy and steady, grounded in gravel or grass. This is not just a planter. It is an invitation to pause, to breathe, to create with what we have. If you're watching this and feel the warmth of possibility stir in your heart, know that this is not a guide with rigid instructions. I'm simply offering a spark, an idea, something you might adapt, shape, or reimagine to suit your own quiet patch of earth. That old nightstand drawer you've been meaning to discard? Perhaps it's ready for a new chapter. Layer the soil, gently nest your favorite herbs or trailing flowers inside, and let nature do the rest. Add a watering can nearby, maybe a terracotta pot or two, and your space, no matter how small, begins to bloom not only with plants, but with care. It's in these moments, when we reclaim the overlooked, when we nurture life in simple forms, that we rediscover the true soul of gardening. This idea is shared purely as creative inspiration. It's a gentle nudge for those who wish to try something heartfelt and handmade. Let it be your own version of beautiful. (16) Hanging macrame plant shelf. Sometimes, beauty in a garden isn't just about what grows from the earth. It's also about what floats gently above it. In quiet corners where sunlight dances through balcony rails and the breeze gently rocks suspended shapes, a humble piece of rope and wood can become a poetic stage for your plants to perform. What you see here is not just decor. It's rhythm and stillness braided into one. The Macrame plant shelf is a timeless bohemian whisper to your tiny garden space. Made from natural cotton rope, a bit of wood, and your own gentle hands, this hanging shelf allows you to elevate your plants, quite literally, into view. When floor space is precious, look upward. The air above is still yours to fill with life. Some choose trailing greenery that cascades like soft waterfalls. Others prefer rows of succulents in terracotta pots, basking in the sun like sleepy cats. A candle or two, why not? In the second image, they lend a soft evening glow, turning a simple idea into a sanctuary. That shelf doesn't just hold plants, it holds moments. The best part? This idea is delightfully doable. It doesn't require a big budget or a long list of materials. Just time, patience, and a bit of love. For those who enjoy crafting, this might become a weekend joy. For others, it's a step into a new creative chapter. And while I'm here to share inspiration, please remember, these are just ideas, shared in the hope they might feel possible for you too. As always, safety matters. Ensure your shelf is well secured and your ropes tied with care. Even the most beautiful things need strong roots. Let your plants sway. Let your light in. Let your small space become a gallery of nature, curated, suspended, and full of heart. "17. Glass jar herb lanterns. In the quiet hush of a summer evening, just before the stars claim the sky, there is a kind of peace found only in the soft flicker of gentle lights. And sometimes, it takes no more than a simple glass jar, a bit of twine, and a whisper of rosemary to turn an ordinary step into a poetic moment of calm. Here, repurposed jars find their new life, not as forgotten kitchen relics, but as tiny lanterns glowing with warmth and charm. Some hold soft lead candles, their light reflecting off smooth glass, dancing quietly beside bundles of herbs tied by hand. Others cradle string lights inside, like captured constellations, paired with painted leaves and nestled among garden blooms. They line stone paths and garden edges not just to illuminate, but to tell a story of care, of intention, of time well spent in simplicity. There's a humble magic in using what we already have, a gentle reminder that creativity often blossoms from the overlooked. And though these are only suggestions, gentle seeds of inspiration, I offer them with the hope that they feel doable to you. Please keep in mind this isn't expert advice or a definitive how-to, just ideas shared from one dreamer to another, meant to spark imagination in a way that feels realistic and accessible. Safety, of course, should always walk hand in hand with beauty. If you're working with real flames, place them mindfully, far from leaves and wind. Battery candles or solar lights can mimic the glow, keeping the mood without worry. Let this be a celebration of small touches, the glint of glass at dusk, the fragrance of herbs in the air, and the comforting notion that beauty can grow in the simplest containers if we only pause to notice. "18. Painted brick garden borders. In the quiet of a backyard morning, where the breeze hums low and leaves whisper their secrets to the sun, there's a simple joy that awaits in plain sight. An old brick reborn in color. Look closely. These aren't just bricks. Each one has been touched by a brush, dipped in creativity and made to bloom, just like the garden it surrounds. Some carry daisy-like petals painted in childlike wonder, others softened pastels like candy-colored clouds. And all of them, bright, imperfect, happy, frame the soil like a border of stories told in silence. What you see here is a tiny garden framed with hand-painted bricks, either scavenged or repurposed from forgotten corners of old renovations. There's no need for perfection, only intention. Each block becomes a tiny canvas. A splash of sky blue, a dab of sunflower yellow, even simple floral doodles. Together, they elevate a mundane path into a playful invitation. If you're wondering whether this is something you could do yourself, take this gently. I'm merely sharing creative ideas that are meant to spark your own imagination, ones that feel approachable and real, and hopefully doable with what's already around you. The process is forgiving. Clean the bricks, let them dry under the sun's warm gaze. Choose acrylic paints or weather-resistant outdoor paint, and let your hands tell their own story. No brushes? Even old sponges or fingers can create charming textures. In one image, we see a border not just dividing space, but connecting it. Colorful bricks lining soft gravel against mulched earth, giving shape to herbs and blooms alike. In another, the blocks arc around a garden bed like pastel puzzle pieces, mint green meeting butter yellow, joined by blush pink and baby blue. Their gentle tones soothe the eye, reminding us that a garden is not just what grows from it, but how it makes us feel when we walk beside it. Let this be your quiet nudge. Sometimes, the most enchanting garden upgrades don't come from the store. They come from paint, patience, and a little love. And remember, this is not instruction, but gentle inspiration, shared with the hope that it fits your hands and heart just right. So the next time you find yourself near a stack of old bricks, ask them what they want to become. They just might answer with a flower. (19) Mini bamboo pergola for vines. In the quiet hush of a midday sun, there lies a space most would pass by, a sliver of earth, hemmed by two walls, kissed by a breeze, and filled with possibility. And in that pocket of peace, a humble structure rises, a mini bamboo pergola, built not with fancy tools or costly wood, but with hands and heart. Bamboo, strong yet gentle, is tied together with twine like the pages of a summer diary. It's light enough to lift, yet sturdy enough to support dreams wrapped in green leaves and climbing tendrils. As vines curl up with soft intention, they greet the sunshine that filters between the canes, dappling the ground below with shadow play. Some may see just plants and poles, but others, those who listen closely, might hear nature composing its quiet melody of growth. A tip, if I may share from the corners of creativity. This idea isn't about precision or perfection. It's about creating a sanctuary, no matter the size of the soil. And for those wondering, this is simply a window into inspiration, an idea that might spark something beautiful and personal. There's no prescription here, only gentle encouragement that yes, you can do this too, in your own way, with your own rhythm. Add decorative stones, perhaps a touch of moss, or even a few hanging pots. Let nature climb and drape and spill over like a poem written in green. Your tiny garden doesn't need grandeur, just a touch of bamboo and a wish to grow. Because in corners of the world often overlooked, beauty quietly blooms, and sometimes, all it needs is a few sticks of bamboo to rise. If this video meant something to you, please know that subscribing means the world to me. You're not just supporting content, you're supporting a dream that keeps my family going. Thank you, truly. I'd also love to hear from you. What did you enjoy the most? Is there anything I could do better to keep inspiring or simply entertaining you? Your feedback helps this channel grow with heart and purpose. Let me know in the comments. I read every one.